What is up, homies? Welcome back to another episode of the Chexicans podcast. Welcome. It's a big day. It's been a big week. If you notice, we just put up our entire Hall H breakdown regarding the Marvel Studios panel. Very extensive. We go deep. We go deep in there.
It's a long
all
one.
The
It's a longie. Yeah,
it's a longie. It is a longie.
It doesn't feel long. You guys aren't selling
No,
it.
it
It does not. It felt like we chatted for like 20 minutes. But what's the running time? An hour and what?
82
It's
minutes,
like,
baby.
How long?
82 minutes.
Oh my God.
82
Well,
minutes,
think about all the
baby.
projects that we talked
Wow.
about, though. You know, we talked a little bit about the slate
There's
going
like
into
Four
Comic-Con 24.
projects we talked about though. 4 projects, and we
Six.
stretched
We
it
talked
out to
about
an hour and
six.
22
We talked about
minutes.
6 projects.
I guess so. I'm counting the Avengers movies as one big old thing. But you're right, Adam. You're right. It was the 3 movies. Then the 2 Avengers movies. What was the 6th project? I guess
Agatha.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, we talked about Agatha. We talked also a little bit about, we talked about Avengers of Doomsday and Secret Wars, but we also really heavily leaned into the casting of it and the why of the casting. And we also spent a really good portion of the video for maybe like 15, 20 minutes talking about character development in the MCU, especially the Multiverse saga, and how they haven't really built up some flagship characters to kind of carry the weight of the MCU. So it was really good conversation. We talked about a little bit of everything that I think. Some things that have been kind of talked about by a lot of people on the internet. Some things have been talked about, you know, like on social media. We've talked about some things internally about some of these projects. So, yeah, it was a really good, well-rounded conversation about the panel experience, but also the projects and kind of what they can mean for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, it was very enjoyable.
Well done.
I liked it quite a bit.
Well done.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good conversation.
Adam, what are you looking at that's up here somewhere? What are you looking at right now? What's happening? Oh, I see. You have it there.
Can't see, but he has 87 monitors just all around his.
Who do you think I am?
His
Who do you think I
peripheral.
am, Hector? Come on. Have you met me before?
Minority Report. You're the architect from the Matrix.
So we've had a couple days to think about this stuff, you guys. We're primarily going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously. But I bet you almost every other comment in the super chat is about Doom, so we might touch on that a little bit as well. How are you guys feeling today? Are you ready to talk Wolverine? Are you ready to talk Deadpools?
Yeah.
Even after all this news?
Oh yeah,
Hector,
I for sure
are you feeling better?
No,
Adam, are you
I'm
feeling better?
worse.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, whenever we do Comic-Con, you know, we kind of hit the ground running, making trailer reaction videos. And then this year we threw in a couple of extra things. Like we did our Marvel Hall H reaction video. We went on Sunday. We saw this movie and we did a little reaction to that as well. We did our Hall H breakdown. But also on top of that, you know, we are launching our Batman Cape Crusader reactions starting tomorrow on Patreon and on YouTube. Because that comes out tonight. I think it might be midnight or it might be a little bit earlier. I'm not 100% sure. So we're staying pretty busy. So it's like I haven't really spent too much time outside of like making our videos or you know us shooting stuff. Like we also did House of the Dragon. So we're staying busy.
What do you mean with that, Adam? You're saying like you haven't had time to think about this stuff, or what? What do you
I haven't
mean?
really had time to like. I haven't really had time to like not even process it, but it's more of just the experience. You know, sometimes after Comic-Con, you have a post-con experience where you have a couple days to just kind of like chill out, and we're still
you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. I thought Tuesday was Monday this week. Like it's weird to come back and because I am also I'm trying to stay busy, and like earlier today I had lunch with a buddy who just wanted to talk about Hall H and Doctor Doom and like so it still feels like I'm in it. And I think to answer your question, Augustine, like we'll get into it and we'll talk about it because we've got some super chats. We can address those now. We should do that now, and then we'll talk about
let people come in and
Deadpool and Wolverine. Because both of these things like they affect each other. And I told you when we were in the car, you were driving up from San Diego, I was like, I feel better after watching Deadpool and Wolverine. But now a couple of days later, I'm like, no, I don't know if that's the case about Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom. I'm like, I think I feel just as bad as the initial sort of feeling because I've been talking about it with my friend. I've been, we had a conversation Monday night, which was now the Hall H breakdown that we talked. I kept bringing up the thing today at lunch to my buddy that Adam said about the Infinity Saga had characters that had like 3 movies in a couple of years. And the Multiverse Saga has not had that. And I just keep thinking about that. I keep thinking about that. That's where this franchise is right now. So anyway, I'm all over the place, but kind of like, I loved Deadpool and Wolverine. It was so much fun, but I am in I guess a little bit of a downer spot with the Robert Downey of it all. But let's get into it. First super chat. Gurinder Johal, $10. Gurinder says, wanted to pop in and say hi. I loved this movie, and upon rewatching it, loved it even more. I am glad they decided to focus on Wade and this Wolverine and give them both arcs and pay homage to Fox movies. Agreed with everything you said, dude. Agreed. That's it. That's a beautiful summary of this movie. And also, I think, Adam, you said at the top, we're going full spoilers with this, all right, y'all? This is going to be full-blown spoilies.
Full load of spoilers. So
full load,
get your goggles,
locked
baby.
And loaded. Tony Dominguez with $10 says, well, homies. Cavalrine and Dr. Doom in the same weekend. Did I call it or what? LOL. I'm 50-50 on RDJ being Doom. All I know is opening credits better start with MF Doom for Doomsday. Much love. That's
man.
wild.
I can see Mike completely change his opinion about the whole thing if that happens.
Yeah, I might change my opinion if they use some MF Doom in there.
That is such a, oh my God. I don't know how to feel about that. Because I don't want to say that something like MF Doom wouldn't fit tonally with Doctor Doom because they just quoted MF Doom in a Doctor Doom comic. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it would be. Maybe it would be Robert Downey energy, whatever. Ashley with Republic Credit coming in with 300 Filipino pesos. Ashley said, screamed when I saw last week's live stream that I missed for Logan Pool. And at the end, Augustine said he wanted to see Johnny Storm, and I can't scream it on Discord because spoilers. Hot damn, them cameos. At the end of which video you said you wanted to see Johnny Storm?
It was my last call. Yeah, it was our when they asked somebody asked what our like highest expectation or like whatever. Yeah.
You know what's funny too is that I don't know, you posted it in our chat, dude. I don't know if you found it or somebody found it for you. But when you called it years ago, when you were like, I want to see Chris Evans as Johnny Storm in the Multiverse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can't remember how long ago that was. I can't remember. Like, what was that?
That was 2017. It's time-stamped. We were still at Hyper RPG. It was 2017. I think Adam actually called it, and then I said that would be cool in a Deadpool movie.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. So, it was like a combo. It was like a 1-2 punch there.
Wow.
2017. What did we know about Deadpool and Wolverine in 2017?
Well, Deadpool 1 had only come out, so not much.
Okay.
That was the year Ragnarok came out. Guardians 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah.
So I'm curious why we even were talking about the movie. It would be interesting to actually go back and rewatch that bit to get the full context and understand why were we even talking about the multiverse back then.
Yeah.
What was the conversation behind that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Did Felicia just ask what MF Doom is? Am I reading that correctly, Felicia?
So.
Can you ask?
I think so.
Am I going to have to make you a playlist because?
Yes. Why don't you make a playlist in general, Augustine, and post it in your Discord so anybody?
I'll make a playlist.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
Okay,
Keller has been asking for one, and so I just need to do one.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Do it. Next time you're at work, don't work. Just do that playlist. Thanks. Marco Chavez has a message retracted for a $5 super chat. First ever super chat. Thank you, Marco. Unless that was an offensive message, in which case, don't do that. But thank you so much for your first ever super chat. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was fine. Jason Bombach coming in with $5. Jason says, for me, both Robert Downey Jr. and the Russos feel less as a story choice and more the decision of a scared executive, which is why it feels meh. I don't disagree.
I've been hearing a lot of that. A lot of that this weekend. I will say, I'll preface this whole thing saying that Hector and I had a long conversation on the drive back from Comic-Con. And I think my favorite part of the conversation, to kind of give you a quick summary of what we thought of Deadpool and Wolverine, we both thought and felt that it kind of fluffed up our creative urges to draw and do something creative and I don't know. There was just something about the movie that just kind of made us, inspired us in that way. And then the day after that, Hooch called me. He was dying to. We were actually recording a show. I think actually we were recording the other Hall Age recap.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He called me and he left a long message, and he's like, I need to talk to you about this. This is crazy. And he said the exact same thing. He was like, this movie makes me want to jump back into voice acting, into acting, back up on stage. I was like, whoa, is anybody else having this kind of like experience? And has any other MCU project done this to anybody? Or is this because of like the state we're in with the MCU and this project being so like different? It's so interesting because I've never heard two people say almost the exact same. Honest, but Hector, you and Pooch are like two of my more creative friends, and so I would say that I'm like, is it just happening to artists? Is it happening to other people? Adam, did you feel anything like that after you watched this movie?
That is a really good question. I mean, I think first of all, after watching the movie, I thought like it made me want to go back and rewatch all the movies that are referenced in it, but it also made me want to go back and read a lot of the comics that I've missed out, Marvel comics that I've never read, that I understand the references because we've talked about them for like 10 years. I'm like, man, I'm really like, I want to read those comics. I want to read so I understand that context even more so. Like I know the imagery and I know like Wolverine on that giant cross, you know, like I've seen that cover, but I don't know that story. So like that would be cool to go back. But I don't know, in terms of like, has it sparked my creativity? I don't know if it's necessarily creativity. If anything, it's well, actually, that's not true. It maybe has a bit, because I've been thinking about like, because for example, my girlfriend loved Deadpool and Wolverine, but she doesn't know sort of the history with the rights with Marvel and Fox and Sony and Universal and New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
So I started thinking in my head, well, what if you're someone who's going into this movie and doesn't know any of that? Is there something that exists on the internet that is, first of all, easy to understand, that explains either in like a paragraph or two or in like 5 minutes or less, here's how this works and here's why it matters in the context of this movie? Because I do think that if you don't know any of that, you know, she saw the secret supporting roles and, you know, these couple of cameos, and was really listening to the audience cues to understand, oh, this is a big deal, but I don't know why. So
this woman, is that Jennifer Garner? That's Jennifer Garner. It must be a big deal that she shows up in this.
Exactly.
I thought she was. I didn't know she was in Marvel movies. Who's this? This is Wesley Snipes. It must be a big deal that he shows up in this. Channing Tatum. You're right, because after the movie, that was the only one I let her know was that, like, even if you go back and just watch the movies, there are still references, just like any sort of parody movie or comedy movie that makes jokes about current events. There's references in this film that are not just to the previous movies, but to things that happen in pop culture, including when they announced one of these movies and then never made the movie. I was explaining, I'm like, Channing Tatum came out on stage in 2014 or whatever with this big Fox announcement. He had a t-shirt on, 2015. And he had a t-shirt on that said, check your pockets, with a little Gambit logo. He was going to play Gambit. He had been trying to make this, you know, so you have to even explain that, which is not film context. It is filmmaking, production, never happened production context. It's just like when you see, but I don't think it worked, Nicolas Cage, Superman in the Flash, you got to know that that was a movie that Tim Burton never made. That's how into the weeds you have to be with some of this stuff. But I guess, Adam, you're saying that like this was even making you think creatively about making a video that helped frame the context of this movie. That's a creative thing. I'll tell you exactly why,
that might be a good thing to do.
It absolutely would be a good thing, because I swear to God, I'm going to see a piss poor version of that on TikTok in about a day, and I'm going to be mad that it's not you. I'm going to see some 14-year-old kid like doing, you know, a bad reread of Wikipedia. Here's why, for me, it got the artistic creative juices flowing, whereas previous X-Men movies didn't really do it this way. The fact that Adam is seeing imagery and he's going, God, I want to read these comic books. I also felt like that. And I didn't have that. Even if I watched X-Men Days of Future Past, I wasn't like, oh man, I want to read these comics that they're like, because those movies were so sort of remixed. And this is so far the most comic accurate, comic referencing live action X-Men thing. Even more than the previous 2 Deadpool movies. This thing has, and it was a great experience for me. I think we talked about it. I'll say it again too. I think we talked about it in person, that like in the past couple weeks, I'd been rereading and reading for the first time old Wolverine comics. And I fucking love that character. I always have, but like reading these actual comics from the 80s where he is Patch and he's active in Madripoor, I read everything. And there's one issue where the Hulk shows up, but he's Joe Fixit, Gray Hulk, and he's like speaking, and it's the Joe Fixit less bouncer version of Hulk. And they fuck each other up. And it's this great little one issue adventure that I was like, man, this rules. And I was also so happy to have that context because I'm now a big fan of the Patch persona. So even seeing that, no dialogue and not really a scene, but just a reference in a moment, it made me so it made me happy to see height comic accurate Wolverine as well, but that's a joke. It made me happy to see Henry Cavill Wolverine, but that's a joke. The crucified Wolverine, like you said, Adam, like we all know that comic book cover. Like I was happy to see that too, but especially for some reason that Patch, just because that's where I've been. And the other thing is, it made me want to draw because they put, and especially in 3D, dude, we saw this shit in 3D.
Oh my God.
The
IMAX
good.
3D.
So good in 3D.
The bus fight scene where they pop out at the end and Wolverine does Hugh Jackman did a Wolverine pose from the comics that he has never, that I was like, I've never seen him do this.
No.
People keep pointing out too, the scene in the beginning when they first get to the Void and he fights Deadpool and he charges at him on all fours. I was like, this is the most.
My heart fluttered. My heart was fluttering at that point, dude. I was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted. Like his claws were dragging on the ground, the whole thing. So dope. So dope.
So that shit, because it's like you could have, this movie proved that you could have that, but you could also have the emotion and like the gravitas, a couple of scenes. Now it doesn't come close to Logan. I'm not about to tell you that the emotion goes higher or more deep than Logan. It doesn't in the movie Logan. But Hugh Jackman is the actor behind it still. He delivers such a heartbreakingly beautiful performance in this as the worst Wolverine. Like they knew what to give these actors. So you could have the
He
comic
didn't
book
phone
shit.
it in. He did not phone it in.
He brought it. He brought it harder, frankly, than Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, I almost feel like this movie, Hugh Jackman had to like stretch more than he's ever, do you know what I mean, as this character.
The range is much wider, I think, comedically. Dramatically.
Yes, because when he's doing Logan, it's like the one sort of, we know what that character is, and he wasn't as comedic. He had little moments, but like that wasn't that movie. When he was doing solo Wolverine movies, the first 2 sort of straightforward action, some really good dramatic stuff in the Japanese, where he goes to Japan, Wolverine movie. I love that movie still. The X-Men movies, it's the sort of classic action movie ensemble where he's the badass tough guy. This is like, it's crazy to see the range he had in this. So I think that might be the reason why, Augustine, you're seeing actors be re-energized, content creators and directors and editors like Adam be re-energized, artists and drawers be re-energized. Because it's just like, yeah, man, this movie had so much of that stuff on so many levels.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. Is I was like, I want to draw Wolverine in a Wolverine pose now. Like,
I mean, who does it? Awesome. I've been wanting to do that since I started to learn how to draw like that. I think Wolverine was one of the first things I ever traced as far as like comic book stuff goes. Because I started off by tracing stuff because I loved it. I had no skill. And obviously I eventually moved on to, doing my own stuff. But yeah, there's just something about the iconography of that short little man with those claws and the hair. And just, there's something about it, man. So do you guys have any, first of all, since we're going to do a spoiler review, did you want to talk about things that maybe didn't work as well for you in this movie? And then we can get into the things that really worked for you.
Sure. Hector, you got anything?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, I think it's I've seen the criticisms. I think it's fair to say that in some sections that there might be clunky exposition, clunky dialogue dumps. That could the film have shown us those things instead of told us some stuff? Maybe. the first act, there is kind of a lot of setup that's going on.
Yeah.
There's also little things where you're like, I don't want to get too in the weeds and too comic book nerdy with it, but like if the Logan from the movie Logan, and that movie took place in 2029, died in 2029, and that death retroactively made the Deadpool universe start to die out and disappear because that's also the same as Deadpool's reality, which is fine. Retroactive, fine. I don't care. It could be in the future, whatever. But like, what happened to the other Wolverine? Because as far as we know, that was supposed to be the Logan movie was supposed to be a separate reality from all the other X-Men movies. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what James Mangold said, that it wasn't the actual end of the X-Men movie universe, but it was one potential future ending for the character. So like, where's the Wolverine that at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past in the present just had a little graying temples and like Jean Grey and Cyclops was alive again? What happened to like little things like that where it's like, it doesn't quite, it's just like how in Spider-Man No Way Home, the rules were, oh, you've cast a spell that made it so that anybody who knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man is coming to our universe. Hey, that's great.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx Electro did not know Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Who cares? It's fine. We just want Jamie Foxx in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, let's massage that. It doesn't really matter. And then there's stuff with this film with like, again, do I wish that maybe Deadpool's story was a little bit different? I love the meta narrative of he feels like he doesn't matter. He wasn't invited to the Avengers. That's what the whole movie's about. But I just miss him and Vanessa. I do miss a part of that. I would have liked a little bit more of his supporting cast other than the bookends in the film. As fun as the rest of it was. So it's like, little things like that could have been better. And I think that just stuff like that. I don't know. And I'm sure some jokes aren't as good as others. And, some CG effects and stuff weren't as good as others, but I thought generally speaking, it was like fine. Some people said like, it's again, when you have Hugh Jackman doing that kind of CG pose, people go, oh, it's a cartoon now. I can't, it's a cartoon character. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. But like, we accept that with Deadpool. That character lends itself to a CG double really well. And we buy it, or Spider-Man. So I'm a little more forgiving to like, I just want to see Wolverine do some of those inhuman poses, like that kind of shit that I'm just, is the Void uninteresting visually? A little bit. I'm not going to say that this is the, could they have done a better, completely different story? It's the thing of I don't want to judge the movie for what the movie's not. I want to look at the movie for what you know what I mean. Like
what it is.
Like what could a criticism be? I don't know. Is that the most interesting story that they kind of did this instead of something else that's really, really sure, absolutely.
There's room for that, though. There's room for that. Like this is this is not the end of it, right? Clearly, this movie is going to break box office records. It already has, and I think there's room to expand either this relationship between Wolverine and Deadpool, or for other movies to kind of move into this rated R space. Like who's to say that we won't get another rated R movie that's not a Deadpool movie? And what's that going to look like in the MCU?
Blade, if it ever comes out.
Right? It will be. But maybe after the Daredevil show, maybe they give Daredevil Charlie Cox a movie and it's rated R.
That'd be crazy.
And, that would be
rated
sick,
R
dude.
Daredevil. Oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, the show, and I'm assuming the new show, they're basically R rated.
TVMA,
like they're, yeah. So just that would be awesome. Adam, share with us what you think might not have worked as well. Real quick, one super chat. Tsunami King coming in with $10. Third ever super chat says Jennifer Garner coming back as Elektra reminds me she has a black belt and needs to do more action movies. That's hilarious.
Does
I didn't
she
know
really?
That.
I
think
no
that's
idea.
Because to me, Jennifer Garner's like one of the sweetest actors. She's so sweet.
And
you all saw that video? She got stuck in the elevator at Comic-Con, and she's just like singing and like she's like so
trying to make the best of it. Yeah,
I'm down for her doing more action. All right, Adam, what do you got?
Well, so something that going into that movie that had me a little bit worried, it was kind of similar, like what I talked about Deadpool 2, was sidelining what I thought was really an important part of Deadpool's story, which was Vanessa. And by Deadpool 2, it's Vanessa plus Negasonic Teenage Warhead plus Colossus, because I loved the banter that they had. And it's nothing against Cable, and it's nothing against Domino. I love the banter that he has with them. I love the banter he has with Peter. But I think that seeing the relationship that he has with Vanessa, it was just really heartwarming to see that just to see them interacting. And like that love felt really real in that first movie, and I was so invested in it. So when it was kind of lost by the second one, I was like, okay, well, if they ever do a third one, I hope they lean back into that. So my apprehension going into this was, well, okay, if you're going to have Hugh Jackman be the other marquee name on the poster, then I think all of the other characters are going to get lost in the story. And that is kind of what happened. You know, like you were saying, they really bookend the movie with Deadpool's supporting characters, Blind Owl, Negasonic, Vanessa, Colossus. I was, I think, a little bit more fine with it in this film than I was with Deadpool 2 because I was more invested in the story that was playing out on screen. But there still definitely is a part of me that really missed having a little bit more of a setup at the beginning that was not necessarily focused on, you know, Wade. I think it was fine to have Wade question what his role is, what his part is in this universe. At the same time, I think maybe they could have hit it a little bit better with Vanessa. Maybe not have them be out of a relationship and just be friends. Maybe be at the very tail end of it and seeing what they've been going through. They show it to us in flashbacks, which I like, but I almost wish that it was just a part of the narrative of the story. And that is what leads Deadpool into the place that he ends up going into. So I think maybe narratively that would have worked a little bit more for me. I think obviously, like you were saying, there is a lot of exposition because there's a lot of explaining to do in the beginning of the film. I didn't necessarily mind it too much, but I agree. Sometimes I feel like you can show certain things to sell the point. And, you know, even with Wolverine's story, I would have liked to have seen how did he let the X-Men down.
That I've seen people say that, and I'm like, yes,
for
it would have been awesome to see that. Even though I'll let you guys in on this. Apparently, for the movie Logan, they were gonna do that. They were gonna show. They were gonna bring back all the actors. Apparently, like Halle Berry, James Marsden, and have a scene where it's Charles Xavier who like kills them all, right? Or like accidentally. That's what happens. The sort of older Charles Xavier. But I think they didn't have the money in the budget to bring them all on as actors and pay them, you know, and it wasn't the most glamorous, hey, come back to die. Like, so maybe they didn't even bother as they were doing this film. They were like, we know we're not just going to be able to, let's save the budget for Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, Wesley Snipes, you know, but you're right. I think that could have been some kind of a visual of it could have been really, other than just him walking away and kind of kneeling down in his white t-shirt and being so distraught. Something could have been really impactful.
And I do wonder if the reason they avoided that was obviously maybe budgetary reasons was number one, because like you're saying, they had so many other people to pay to come and show up. But then I wonder if the narrative would have become even more so that the movie is nothing but a cameo fest, even if they're trying to service the story. So then the conversation comes down to, do you swap out the supporting surprises, like characters that are in it, for other X-Men, you know, the older X-Men, Halle Berry, James Marsden, all those characters? Or do you service the whole story in general rather than just servicing one character? Because that would just service Wolverine's story. That would just, and also, you know, playing Wolverine, but it's not the Wolverine from our timeline. So also, is there going to be a disconnect? Yes, you're going to see James Marsden, yes, Halle Berry, all these great characters, but they're technically not.
But it won't technically
X-Men.
be right.
It's not our X-Men history. So I do wonder if that moment of the story was a big conversation of, do we show it or do we not? Our audience is going to feel emotionally connected to it, even though it's not their X-Men technically. So, but you know, overall, I would say like there's a lot more wins in the movie than losses. Like, yeah, maybe there's a couple comedic things that I'm like, oh, I don't know if we really needed some of these jokes, but I can't recall them in the moment because I've only seen it once. So for the most part, I recall the things that I do enjoy. And at the end of the day, you know, a really good barometer for me personally is someone who's never seen any of this stuff. Did you walk into the movie not knowing anything, and did you walk out learning something, and did you enjoy it? I think if you walk out of it and you don't know any of the references and you don't know anything, but you can still enjoy the core of the story and you find it interesting enough that you maybe want to go see more of the films, then I think it's mostly a win.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well
I will
said,
say
Adam.
too that
Well said.
Yeah. I will say that the thing you're talking about with Vanessa, I'm hoping that this is an Iron Man 2 Avengers situation where at the end of Iron Man 2, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts just like got together real quick, like kissed, and they were a couple. then when you start watching Avengers, they're a couple and have been for a minute, and it's just nice. They're domesticated. Gwyneth Paltrow's walking around barefoot. They're very comfortable in Stark Tower. It's nice. I would love for the next time we see Deadpool, probably an Avengers movie, for him to just be with Vanessa, and she's in it, and then he portals through or whatever, and then comes to the 616, and then we go from there.
Well,
I think that would
just
be
like we didn't see their breakup. I have no reason to think why we couldn't just see them back together, and we should learn about it little by little throughout the movie, or something. Or we don't even need an explanation.
Yeah. See them together, and maybe even like see Wade and Vanessa with a kid, because they were trying to have a kid in Deadpool 2.
Yeah. Right.
And just like maybe he's already Dadpool by the next time we see him, I think would be awesome. All right, let's get into some super chats. Adam, is the stream okay? Is it delayed at all? Are you good on your end?
I'm fine.
Okay, great.
Really
Pirate
quick,
Dad.
though, I'm going to cut you off, though,
Yeah,
because you missed like 4 super chats in the beginning.
There's
more?
Yeah, there was $2 Canadian dollars from Ryan Noakes, who says,
what?
I'm at quartet practice, excited for a replay later. Thank you so much, Ryan.
So Ryan is the one who did that quartet.
I see.
That quartet video for the 10
Thank you.
years.
Yeah. You want to do the other ones you missed?
I got Senator here, says $2. It's time for Doom the Musical. Love y'all. Got that one. Thank you, Senator.
Where's Steph at? She hasn't been by in a minute.
Daniel Oliveria with $5. Is it what is the R next to $5? What is that?
Rupees, maybe. No idea.
Republic credits.
I don't know.
Republic credits. Just say Republic credits.
Just to say, you guys are the best people on the internet. Can't wait to see Hector's comments on the first Wolverine variant. Ha ha ha! Hugs from Brazil. Oh, there it is. There's the answer.
From Brazilian. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you. Did I miss any, Adam? Is there any more from the beginning? Because I may have opened the chat after you had it open.
Yeah, then the next one's from Gurinder, but I'm pretty sure you read that one about the Fox movies homage. Yeah.
Let's get back into these, because now we are caught up. We are going to
the next one is Pirate Dad.
Not caught up. That's what I got. Pirate Dad, $10. I heard another reactor mention Robert Downey Jr.'s casting seems like a quote break glass in case of emergency type thing for Marvel Studios. And with the slate of the MCU recently, it would make sense. Thoughts? I mean, I don't disagree, especially because this is the announcement. And that announcement did not come with story context. It was just we got him. Break the internet. Go think on your own. So of course the context is just going to be, this just looks like it's like, unless the writer and then the Russos come out and they go, but here's the story. And that's why we needed Robert Downey Jr. to return, because it has this to do with Tony Stark. It has this to do with the MCU. Yeah. It's just a break glass at this point.
And that's really tough, because it does feel like that. And I think maybe whether or not we said it out loud, I think that's maybe how I felt a little bit in the moment seeing that big reveal was, they're pushing the emergency button because they need something. It was like one of you guys mentioned in the video. It's like when your main attraction or your main fight is canceled, you got to outdo it with something even bigger and better. And there really is nothing bigger and better. Even bigger and better would have been to get Chris Evans too, but to at least get one of them, and it being RDJ who started this whole thing. Yeah, that's monumental.
We got Chris Evans, dude. He's in the movie. Yeah. He's in this movie. So we got him back.
They both are back. Yeah, technically.
It's true.
Chad Mason's got a $5 super chat. What was your favorite moments from the movie? I love that bus fight scene. I have to tell you that I have been thinking about this. I don't think I can pick any other moment, and it's the stupidest thing, because you can argue that it doesn't even look good. It doesn't even look good. You can argue that. But when Hugh Jackman goes like this,
that's
what and then he puts on.
I was like, it felt like I was waiting 24 years for that. Do you understand? It's hard to describe. Totally. That's the moment, and I'm sure it just felt like it was for me and for us and for the Wolverine fans, and so that was my favorite.
I think it was also really smart of them that every other version of Logan that we saw before that didn't have a mask. So it really felt like
it's an Avengers Assemble moment.
It is.
It's an Avengers Assemble moment for sure.
Even the brown tan suit that he had, he didn't have the mask on. It was just Hugh Jackman's face, and then you see Hulk in the reflection.
Which I thought was so cool, and it got to a point where in the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Where's the mask? Where's the mask? When's he gonna put the damn thing on? When is this gonna happen?" And then it got so far into the movie that I honestly forgot about it. But I thought it was played so well. It's truthfully the only time in an MCU film probably that someone has done that, to pull a mask out of literally nothing to put on, that I was like, oh my God, this is
hell yeah.
Because then I remembered in X-Men, the animated series, he always had the mask like draped over his back all the time. So I love that. And the fact that he just pulled it pretty much out of nothing, and is, like you were saying, the minute his hands did this, I was like, oh my God. It's so good. And the wide eyes.
Such a good moment. Such a good moment.
It was perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
It's great.
This is my favorite
Matt,
moment, and it's several moments. Hold on. It's not his movie, but Channing Tatum made me laugh so fucking hard in this movie. Harder than I should have laughed. Harder than Ryan Reynolds has ever made me laugh. Channing Tatum showing up in the suit, which like looked okay, but it kind of looked like it didn't fit him a little bit, and just like, you know, he was like, I felt like I was born down here, or just like all these little tiny jokes, dude.
Hard to say,
dude. Oh my God, it's just insane. He's almost stole the movie. Almost stole the movie for me.
Oh, he did. All the marketing's like, Dogpool is going to steal the movie. Nah, dude, Channing Tatum, the secret hidden cameo character, like movie, he was so fucking funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, okay. Next one.
Matt, $10 super chat, 5th ever super chat. Matt says, there were so many moments, but when Blade, Wesley Snipes walked in, I cheered. The movie overall felt like a love letter to Marvel comic book movies. Saw it on Monday in IMAX. Only Blade hits different after Comic-Con. Now, hang on. I don't think that because there's no Blade announcement during Comic-Con that's true. I think it was a great joke about Wesley, about the ego, about, you know, how successful those movies were and how long it's been taking for Mahershala's movie to get made. That's what I think it is. But I think there will be a Mahershala Ali Blade, and it'll be different and it'll be cool. But that was a fantastic moment for sure. Anything that,
I hope they at least have him do some consultation for Blade. Something. Yeah. Like, give him a producer credit. Cool. Something.
Yeah.
That would be pretty nice.
Listen, it would be great if he had, I mean, his cameo really is in this movie, but like when that new one comes out, I can tell you right now, if some marketing person doesn't, either at Marvel or at like an outlet, like a Variety or something, if they don't get Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali
in a room,
you know, Blade on Blade, to talk, like to just do an interview and talk about like the first 3 Blade movies, talk about this new one, share the love, like that's a slam dunk.
Yeah,
I would click on that video.
100,000%
so
agree.
Goddamn fat, right?
Yeah.
So
no problem.
And now that Wesley sort of came back and played, and he was down to clown in this movie, makes me feel like hopefully he got paid to where he's very happy with it. Makes me feel like he's going to be friendly with Marvel Studios and really, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in all his interviews, like
who knows?
His other interviews, he looks like a very happy man. Like he looks like he was, honestly, I saw an interview where he was like, Marvel's gonna let you do that, and he was doubtful that what Ryan Reynolds told him was gonna happen, and he did it, and it happened, and he looked like a happy dude. I'm guessing relationships are good. So let's
and even if
see
they're
if he
not,
can consult at least.
And even if they're not, like the fact that they were able to mend whatever and like do this movie, because Wesley is like, man, we've had this joke for 20 years that we don't like each other. And I'm like, I've heard rumors though that Wesley Snipes was very difficult to work with on that set, like legit. So whatever the truth is, whether they really didn't get along or they did and it's all been a bit, who cares? Now they're like, it's not a bit, or you know, it's exactly what you said. Gurinder is back with 20th ever super chat. Gurinder says, like Adam, this movie has made me want to read more comics and more Marvel stuff. It really pulled on my Marvel.
That's right, baby.
Nice.
Another person. Yep.
Mark Chavez, $5. Paid before writing my message, but been watching since Age of Ultron reaction. But do you think Robert Downey Jr. is just playing one of many Doctor Dooms in Doomsday? Great question, Mark. Thank you for the next super chat. Appreciate it. And for your first one as well. That's a great question. Do you guys think we'll see other Doctor Dooms in Doomsday or Secret Wars? Or is it just going to be the RDJ show and then after Marvel will eventually do their own? What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So just to put this out there, I have not read Secret Wars. the 84 version or the 2015 version. So I have very little knowledge of the actual story, just kind of what I've been reading over the last few days. But it does sound like there's potential, obviously, for there to be multiple versions of the same characters. Do I think it's a possibility? Absolutely. I think it is very possible that it could happen. It's very possible that they could perhaps bring back a couple of the actors who played Doctor Doom previously. If we're already pulling in previous Doctor Dooms, if we're already pulling in previous iterations of other characters, whether or not those characters are in some kind of like other purgatory, 20th Century Fox purgatory, or if they're dead, are they being brought back to life? Like what is that? What's the whole situation behind that? So I think it's very possible that, you could see other versions. Will it be exclusively Robert Downey Jr.? I don't know. I think it'll be kind of like, we've seen other versions of, like Wolverine, for example. Jokingly, there's the one that looks like Henry Cavill, but I think it's very possible that they could play with that. Maybe they could get a couple of actors to cameo as other versions of the character. Who those could be, no clue. But, maybe it could be a Javier, or hopefully they'll save an actor like that for the main Sacred Timeline version of Doctor Doom. But yeah, I think anything's possible, truthfully. Like, I think they blew the whole top off for like expectations when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Ruben with $5 super chat says, Patch, we don't need no stinking patch. And then winky face. I don't get that reference, but thank you so much for the super chat, Reban. Awesome. Thank you. Santi Go3 with a $5 super chat, first ever. Hola, amigos. Shout out from Michigan. Well, you don't expect to see those two phrases in the same sentence, but right on. Shout out from Michigan.
Mexicans Hola, amigos. Whoa.
Hey, we got up there. I say we got in the snow, homie. We're in the snow, bro. Hey, from el norte de Michigan. Hey, we're out there, homie. Hey, hola, amigos, from Michigan.
Oh, my God.
Wanted to know what was your favorite unexpected line or joke from the movie. Listen, it made me laugh, and I turned. Yep, that's the one. I turned to Adam, and I was like, they really did get a divorce. Like,
for me, everything Gambit said was just
all
beautiful. Everything.
That's funny.
And also, I don't know if it's a line per se, and it might even be the same joke from the first Avengers movie where Tony Stark says, that man is playing Galaga, and then they show him playing Galaga. But that dude who was like awing at the bodies of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, that dude, I love that dude because he was us. And it was so goddamn funny when he came out with the abs and he was there, like
Also, shout out to the line when they were asking about Deadpool and Jennifer Garner, and they're like, "Oh, Deadpool's dead." Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's okay.
Or Daredevil.
Sorry, Daredevil. Yeah, Jennifer Garner goes, "That's okay."
Daredevil.
And I'm like,
that was. It's okay. It's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, we're not going to see Ben Affleck Daredevil in Secret Wars because he's canonically dead. Okay, great.
Nope.
Great. I'm sure he's stoked about that. Karen McKenzie with a $5 super chat says, I just got home from seeing the movie. I'm still processing. I love the X-Men home movies at the end and seeing the old Deadpool footage. Thoughts?
I love that tribute.
Sincere.
I turned to Hector and I was like, why am I so emotional watching this?
Why am I getting I hope you had the time.
It's the song. It's the song for us millennials. That was the song like they played at graduation when things happened. And so of course it's gonna tug at your heartstrings, but it's also like just going back to when these movies were like spitting in the wind, dude. They didn't know if they were gonna do well. They just kind of like they took a lot of heart to put out there. And as much as I don't like the original X-Men movies, I'm glad that they happened because those movies had to go through the shit in order for us to get what we're getting now. So.
Well, I think Ryan Reynolds said it really nicely. He posted a photo from that 2015 Comic-Con panel of all the X-Men actors that were currently had movies going. And he said, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for this whole experience because as uneven and kind of clusterfucky as the whole Fox Marvel universe was, I wouldn't be here today basically without it. Neither would Hugh. Neither would anybody who's had a hand in making any of these films. Kevin Feige, was an associate producer. Yeah. I think he was Lauren Schuler Donner's assistant on that first X-Men movie. And if he wouldn't have had that opportunity to make that first X-Men movie, we wouldn't have a Kevin Feige. We wouldn't have an MCU. So, yes, there's a lot of things with those movies that went south, but it's just how history goes, man. It's like history, things happen, things don't work out, but good things end up coming out of it. And we wouldn't be here 24 years later talking about Hugh Jackman in a blue and yellow suit, having one of the best times of his life playing this character for maybe the last time, maybe not the last time, but playing him again is wild. It's absolutely fucking crazy.
And it deserves the recognition. Everything you said, they deserve that recognition. Everything both you guys said.
Yeah.
Movies clock for $20 super chat. Thank you so much, MC. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine 3 times.
Wow.
I know. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine 3 times. First viewing was for the hype and avoid spoilers. Second and third viewing was to understand the story. And in the end, I love the film. Better than the second Deadpool, in my opinion. I agree. That's what my ranking is.
I think it's
another
$20 I think it's
chat.
The best Deadpool movie.
The best one. I could see that argument. My only issue, says Movies Clockford, with the movie is the handle of Wolverine's trauma. In fact, I think it would have been interesting for this version of Wolverine in the movie if he accidentally killed the X-Men like in the comic books. Probably, maybe, debatably. Like we talked about it. That story could have been maybe more effective. But I just loved the end moment where Deadpool said, I'm going to tell them you were the best Wolverine. Because all of a sudden I'm like, this one might be my favorite Wolverine. It might be my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Not the best movie.
Oh, yeah.
Logan's amazing, but I'm like, this guy, I just want to keep watching, him do this shit. Like, that's
so good.
Gold Searcher with a $2 super chat. Gold Searcher. Who should Deadpool interact with in Avengers 5 and 6?
Everybody.
Fucking everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, literally
Especially,
everybody. Yes.
Honestly, though, number one in my list, She-Hulk. Number one.
Yeah.
I was surprised there wasn't a She-Hulk reference in this, just to like tee it up and set that up.
I've definitely another movie recruit She-Hulk. That'd be fun.
Yeah, Movies Clockford dropped another $20.
Wow! And then She-Hulk's like, "No, She-Hulk goes, I got it, Deadpool. I can break my own fourth wall. Like I didn't need you to bring me into your little like. I've been doing it since the '80s. Okay.
There's a lot you could do. There's a lot you could do with that.
So much. Movies Clockford, $20. And finally, my favorite moments was Wolverine's animal berserker mode in the first fight scene against Deadpool and Wolverine coming out of the back of the car to help the resistance. I got chills and tears during that moment. Yeah.
Good moments. Very good
awesome.
Moments.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
ATH Media, $10 super chat. Pitching into the Tequila Fund for your new Blue Beetle shot glasses. Hey, thank you so much.
Hey.
Also, did y'all pick up any new comics last weekend? I don't think I did.
No, but parking at Comic-Con took all my money, so yeah.
Really quick, Kiku66 is saying there was a She-Hulk reference. The sling ring was from the amateur magician from She-Hulk. Is that true?
Ooh.
Wasn't that from a Doctor Strange variant, I thought?
I thought it was from a Doctor Strange variant. I'm rewatching the movie, but
wasn't that?
I'm going to rewatch it this week, but I thought that Cassandra Nova was saying that like once in a while a Sorcerer Supreme makes its way here or something, right? Didn't she say something like that?
That's what I thought.
I don't know if that wasn't the amateur magician, because he didn't even have or did he have a sling ring? I can't remember. I thought he was just doing this, but he must have had a sling ring.
I don't remember.
I'll look out for that. We'll find out.
Pay attention on the second
McDoodley, $5 super chat. McDoodley, why was Thor crying? We all want to know. That's a great bit. That's a great bit.
Ryan Reynolds said that he knows, and only he knows. Yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth wants to know how much he's being paid for that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Is that what Hemsworth said?
Because he was at Comic-Con doing the carpet for Transformers 1, and someone asked him on the carpet about that. He's like, oh, I don't know. I wasn't there. I think I just used that footage from another film. But I'd like to get paid for that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's funny.
I bet you at some point in Avengers 5 and 6, they will pay that off. They will have a moment, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out why they were crying.
Oh, so I guess Cassandra Nova said it was an amateur magician. So I guess it would be that magician, or version of that magician, maybe.
Okay, maybe I'll rewatch. I thought she said a Sorcerer Supreme makes his way here, and then but he had this on him. Okay, so amateur magician. Well, then it might have been him. That's
she
crazy.
Said amateur magician. I remember that for sure.
That's a good She-Hulk reference then.
Good catch.
It's a very deep cut. Did y'all get that from the movie or from New Rock Stars? Who told you? Was it Eric Voss? Tell us if it was Eric Voss.
Did the theater tell you, or did Eric Voss tell you? Speak up.
Yeah.
What I want to know. Movies Clockford back with another $5. Joseph Culp, Julian McMahon, and Toby Kebbell returning as variants of Doctor Doom and Avengers Doomsday with Robert Downey Jr. Hell yeah. Good pull. Good pull knowing the first never released Doctor Doom actor. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's why it's Movies Clockford.
There you go. Greg McCoy with a $10 super chat. Hey, Greg, I want to see it in 3D, but there's only ever like one showing daily at the Cinemark near me at like 3 p.m. Are there more shows at the AMC you all go to? Also, love the Fox clip at the end too. Yes, it was lovely. And yeah, maybe, but go to the 3 p.m. I don't know what to tell you. Calling sick to work, Greg. I'm sick. I gotta stay home.
I can't see straight.
Yeah, we saw the movie at AMC Mission Valley, which is not doesn't mean anything for anybody who doesn't live in Southern California. But there were a lot of IMAX 3D and 3D showings. So I think I think if you maybe looked at other AMC theaters, I've seen quite a few 3D showings, and I think because of how popular it is. Well, first of all, I would recommend IMAX 3D over regular 3D.
Yeah, same.
If you're down for that. And yeah, I think as long as you just double check the IMAX theaters in San Diego, there's quite a few now that there should be something available at a time that you can actually make. So yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know if a regular like real D 3D movie screening has the thing that we saw where pieces of it broke from the framing. Yeah. So you got to do IMAX 3D. That shit was so
IMAX
fun.
3D has special shots that break from the black bars up at the top. In the opening sequence too, like when he's slinging around those bones. Right off the bat.
It's all an illusion, but it's awesome. It's real fun. The double take with a $2 super chat says Nick Cage Ghost Rider would have been fun too. LOL. Yes.
Anything Ghost Rider at this point is what we need. Yeah. We need Ghost Rider in the MCU.
Yeah, I thought when they busted into the Cassandra Nova's thing and they were in that car and they busted in and they were firing like the wheels caught fire. I was like, is this a Ghost Rider reference? Is that what this is?
That would have been
like,
great.
Almost.
Would have been great. Samil Battenfeld with $10 super chat. Saw this movie in IMAX 3D. Going to watch this video later because my service is booty right now. But just want to send this super chat to support and ask how y'all felt about the skeleton being used as weapons. Pretty offensive and pretty great. I loved it.
I was offended by it, but I was also super thrilled by it. So let's do more of that.
It was pretty great. I mean, of course, it's like, can't we just leave Logan alone? But I'm like, this is pretty fun with all the credits going and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And whoever is the dancer that danced in that suit did an amazing job with the choreography.
So good.
That guy was killing it.
Yep. Pirate Dad with $5 super chat. There's a big focus right now on the newly-ish acquired Fox properties with Fantastic Four and Mutants, and not saying I'm not looking forward to seeing them in the MCU, but I really hope that whatever their plan is, they continue to put out projects based on lesser-known characters of the comics. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're getting
the Thunderbolts trailer.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean, that's who Ms. Marvel is. That's who She-Hulk is. That's who the Eternals
were.
And
yep.
I'm also hoping that even in a movie that at the time I think was their lowest grossing and considered not a huge hit, The Incredible Hulk, they still kept in mind those story and character threads. So Tim Blake Nelson came back. It was 16 years, but I'm hoping that even the Eternals and She-Hulk and Moon Knight and all of these new characters, and Shang-Chi especially, I'm hoping that they'll have that presence or at least the opportunity to come back and continue winning people over because they're great.
Yeah.
Optimistic Rider, $5 super chat. Can we talk about Hugh Jackman's acting chops in the car scene when he is tearing down Deadpool? He punches the ceiling like he can't hold in the rage. First ever super chat. Thank you.
Oh my God.
That punch. And it's like, he said, like, it's God's cruel joke that you can't die and I'm here with you. Like, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. No other actor could do it that way. Wonderful.
Yeah. One of my favorite, it might be my top favorite Hugh Jackman performances in the movie Prisoners, Denis Villeneuve film with Terrence Howard and Paul Dano. There's multiple scenes, but there's one scene in particular where he's interrogating someone and just his anger and frustration, he takes a hammer to a sink and breaks the sink, it very much reminded me of this scene reminded me of that part of the movie. It's just such a beautiful example of how he can just take a line of dialogue and elevate it to a level that I would totally expect it from him, but I wouldn't expect that type of delivery. Like, that scene was happening, and the intensity of how he basically says that dialogue and then punches the ceiling of the car. It's so, like, it really catches you off guard, because up to that point, it's mostly a humorous relationship and a humorous romp through,
he's being kind of sarcastic.
The end of time. He's being a bit sarcastic, but the way he delivers that, you can really feel that he's fucking full of Deadpool's.
I think why it works with Hugh Jackman and the rage is because I don't feel like it's angry, vengeful rage. I feel like it's traumatic rage that he's feeling, and that comes across in his eyes. Like, the rage is not coming just because he's a rageful guy. The rage is coming from a deep, deep trauma, and he never lets you forget that. Like, he's always gonna be reminding you that, like, I wouldn't do this, but these situations are pushing me to this limit. Yeah. And that's the brilliance of it. And he doesn't even have to say that. You just see it on his face. See it in his eyeballs. Just the way his eyes tear up is crazy.
I was just going to say, I feel like that man's eyes at any point, at any given time, I thought the blood vessels in his eyes were going to pop. Like, it's that intense. And you're like, oh my God,
exactly.
Dude. Like, he's, my God,
his really face just like swells up. Yeah. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
I do want to ask you guys, though. So, like, one of the big things that this movie introduces is anchor beings. Not something that has ever been discussed in a previous MCU film. There's a lot of conversations happening about it online, because it feels like a very, like, retroactive thing that's been put in, and some people are not excited about having to deal with, like, another thing that has to, like, deal with the multiverse and stuff. I'm kind of intrigued by it, and I'm so curious.
It's all make-believe, guys. It's all make-believe. Relax.
Yeah, and I'm also so, like, curious, like you were talking about, how if Logan is the anchor of that universe, why did it take so long before the universe started to die? People are now trying to find out, or are asking the question of, well, then who's the anchor of our Marvel Sacred Timeline? Some people have been saying it's probably been Tony Stark.
It's Madison.
It's Madison,
no, it's
right?
Madison.
But if it was, if it was Tony Stark, he's been dead for so many years at this point. Wouldn't the universe be dying out? But then I found this interesting. It wasn't an interview, but it was not Channing Tatum. It was Benedict Cumberbatch's star on the Walk of Fame unveiling, and it's more than likely just a throwaway line. But he does say that you helped us kind of discover the anchor of our universe with Doctor Strange, and you're the one who is going to guide us through this madness of the multiverse. And in my head I'm thinking, like, it's probably just a really fun quippy line that he wrote down that flows really well and incorporates the title of the movie that he's in currently. But, like, maybe there is something to it, because you think about how important Doctor Strange was to the characters returning after the events of Infinity War. Like, he really helped set up that whole scenario for them to be able to disappear and then come back. So I'm like, well, maybe, is there any weight to that? Could it be Doctor Strange? But Doctor Strange did disappear during, the blip. And is he still the Sorcerer Supreme? Is it Wong? Like, I don't know. But what do you guys think about the whole anchor being thing?
I like it. I think it's a cool way to work yourself out of the craziness that is the multiverse. Because the way I see it, Doctor Doom's going to go around hunting all the anchor beings, killing them all. And making sure that he controls the entire universe, the entire multiverse, because Doom can't have anybody else but himself be more powerful. So I think it's the exit out, because before this, it was just an endless entanglement of timelines. And that's a lot. That's even worse than having an anchor being, because if you think about all this moving forward, where does it stop? This is their way out. This is how they say Doom. Well, I personally think Doom's going to come along and just knock everybody out, and just make sure that, I have a feeling that if he starts killing too many anchor beings, it's going to accelerate everything. And then everything's just going to come down to whatever Doom wants it to be. So I think it's a cool MCU comic book plot not even plot, just a story element, I would say.
Yeah, and I do wonder, like, maybe Nexus beings end up being like the primary characters from each universes that are still left over. In Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man universe, it's Spider-Man. In Tobey's, it's Tobey Maguire. You know, it's a story. It's just a story reason to bring people in for Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's a good point too.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that that they, it's a fun interview. It's a fun interview where Kevin Feige was asked about this after this movie had come out, and he said something very coy where he was like, "I like that you're asking this already. That's great that you're already asking this." So it's like, okay, Kevin Feige, have you already tried to honestly plant the seeds of some of that lore into Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars? Because if so, like Augustine just rattled off, it could be a really good way to do some story stuff. If you read the 2015 Secret Wars comic book, part of the plot is that Doctor Doom gains his power because he's manipulating a character named Molecule Man, who has not shown up in the MCU anywhere. And Molecule Man is this incredibly, incredibly powerful character who some people have said a couple years ago, the Scarlet Witch might almost replace Molecule Man in the MCU because like she might serve a similar role, which is reality manipulator, maybe lost their mind a little bit, like not all the way there sanity wise, but is also in the MCU. Scarlet Witch Wanda was called like a Nexus being. So they're like, oh, she's so important that there's one in every universe or something like that. There's a similar story thing in Secret Wars. And Molecule Man, I think, and Doctor Doom go around to every universe and kill every version of Molecule Man except for one. And it like makes him more powerful, just like Jet Li's the one.
Exactly.
It's just like Jet Li's the one. It's exactly the same. Yep. So if it's not Wanda as an anchor being, if it's not Molecule Man, a character who hasn't been introduced, but if they just randomly in Avengers Doomsday, like the fun thing about Molecule Man too is that he could be a normal guy who just they all of a sudden other characters from other universes find out who he is, come here, dump this on him of like, you're incredibly powerful. He's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And then he does tap into it and kind of lose it. That could be a fun story direction that they go in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. But I personally think that the MCU attempting to be the sort of most pure adaptation of the Marvel universe. That's why they insist that they're called Universe 616, because to Kevin Feige, he's adapting 616. He's not reality 199999, which was designated from the comics because the comics are 616. And I think it's fair either way, because even when you watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, and Miguel calls the MCU 199999, in those movies, Peter B. Parker comes from reality 616. And Miles is 1610. And so there's a 616 in that universe. So it's like, okay, so that Peter B. Parker doesn't come from the comics universe. They're reusing the sort of main number designations for that movie, Multiverse or whatever. The MCU did it with Doctor Strange. They consider themselves 616. So if they really are the sort of ideal adaptation of the Marvel comics, then I think the anchor being can't be anybody other than Peter Parker, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, because he's the main character of the Marvel universe. He's the mascot. And if you read this brilliant comic book written by Mark Waid called The History of the Marvel Universe, that just actually covers the entirety of the Marvel Universe, it takes place at the very end when the Marvel Universe is about to die out. And the only two beings left are Franklin Richards and Galactus. And they're having a conversation, and they're just everyone else has died for aeons, just forever ago. And they're having a conversation, and as they go, Franklin is scared because he's never died. And Galactus is like, I've died. I came from the universe previous to this one, and I punched through, and then I became the world eater here in this world. And Franklin is like, can you please just help me remember? I just want to remember. So they start talking about the history of all of the Marvel universe. And at the end, Franklin kind of remembers it all. He remembers his parents. He remembers all the heroes. And they basically just meta commentary sum up Marvel Comics. And they go, Franklin says something to the effect of like, I'll never forget this universe because it taught me the most important thing, which is that with great power, there must come great responsibility. And then he like fucking dies. and as he's saying this emotional stuff, you just see a splash page of every Marvel hero, and Spider-Man is up near the front. Do you know what I mean? That's Marvel. And if that's what the MCU is about, trying to do that, and if that's what Marvel Comics is about, the anchor being is Spider-Man, because he is the perfect embodiment. I don't care if he's just a human. I don't care if he's not a celestial being. I don't care. He is a perfect embodiment of that idea that is a universal truth in this universe, that with great power, there must also come great responsibility. So, but I don't know. It might be.
But the reality is that Spider-Man rights are at Sony.
Yes,
that's
the real reality is. The real reality is that Disney is so powerful that they will eventually own Spider-Man. Don't you worry. They keep making these Venom movies. Will. They keep making some Venoms and some Cravens. Don't even worry about it. I didn't see nothing from nobody. Don't you even worry about it. Before you know it, hey.
We just we're gonna do you a favor. Okay, don't you worry about it.
Okay. Hey, Sony, we're doing you a favor. Enjoy your Ghostbusters and your Men in Black. We'll take Spidey off your hands.
That is going to be very interesting, though, like once we get to that point, because after this third Venom movie, it's just Kraven, and that's all I think we've heard. I know they're doing a Spider-Man Noir Amazon Prime show with Nicolas Cage, but like, I'm not going to believe it until I see a trailer for that thing, truthfully. And then, who knows? We still don't know anything about Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, which I don't expect to hear anything about that at D23, because it is specifically a Disney convention event. Why would they advertise a Sony project?
Have they ever done a Tom Holland Spider-Man thing at D23?
I don't think so.
Did they ever have like Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal were promoting Far From Home? I don't think so either. I don't know. I might be wrong.
Think so. I could be wrong though. Let me know in the chat, guys, because I'm sure someone's seen like all those. But yeah, like I don't think that I've seen that. Yeah. So yeah, I just don't think that's the place to do it. But who knows how long we'll have to wait before we hear about another Spider-Man thing. But I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We got some more super chats, y'all. CJ Torres with $5 super chat says, "Saludos from up above in Portland, Oregon." I don't know much about the character, but Miles Teller as the Maker variant. What you think? Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Once you read the 2015 Secret Wars, it's clear. It's clear as day. And if you read a bunch of the comics with that character, the Maker's a great villain, and he is basically evil Reed Richards. Teller, huh? Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
The double take with a $2 super chat, jokingly saying, "Hope one day we get a live action Iron Fist." Ha ha ha. We got 2 seasons. Maybe we'll see him again. Well, who knows?
One day. Those don't exist Dana for me, Summers, though, so that is not a joke.
Dana Summers, first ever super chat, $10 super chat. Dana is asking, is there a difference between an anchor or a Nexus being? I can't remember the definition of Nexus being from Loki
and let me pull it up.
Multiverse of Madness, but an anchor being is just if they die, the universe dies. I don't think that's what a Nexus being is. I think a Nexus being is they're in every universe, or they.
The Nexus being in comic books will be different, correct?
Yeah, okay, so the Nexus being in any person or thing that has the power or capability to drastically affect probability and the timeline. So it's a timeline alterer, not a timeline ender.
Now, is that definition from the MCU or is that comic books?
This is from CBR.
On the MCU wiki?
No, that's not CBR? On the MCU wiki.
Can't trust it. Check again. What else we got? Somebody just pull up the quote from Multiverse of Madness when they said what a Nexus being is, or Loki season 1 or something. Or wasn't it WandaVision too? They said she was a Nexus being.
Good question.
This is an overview. This is a Search Labs overview. Rare individuals that can affect the probability of the future and are keystones of the multiverse. What does that mean, though? Keystones as in, like, if they die, they end it? Or they just are huge reasons why things happen?
We got to start our own pop culture website. We're just as
confused as y'all.
Because I would just... Because all these websites, they're so dumb. Just quote the thing. Just do a web page that just has the answer. Stop bullshitting me, CBR. Stop bullshitting me, whatever.
What
Just
about,
go.
what
This
about
is from the show WandaVision.
Hector.com. What about that one?
What is there? Are they referencing something?
So
do they say like according to season 1, episode 8 of WandaVision, the character says this.
So this says they come from the Queen of Never. So Nexus beings are agents of the Queen of Never.
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about, dude?
That's right here, brother. It's right here, brother.
I found something from Pop Sugar that is referencing the Loki series. First of all, it says, as Loki explains, a Nexus event is defined by the TV as a moment in the sacred timeline, aka the master timeline, that is supposed to happen in every universe, where an alternate branch is created that goes against what is supposed to happen. Nexus events are one thing, but what about Nexus beings? Those aren't directly addressed in Loki, at least not yet, but they've been on our radar since WandaVision. One of the show's symbolism-laden commercials features a pharmaceutical ad for a drug called Nexus. At the time, it seemed like a hint about how the Westview world revolved around Wanda, but it's also a reference to something from the comics. There, Wanda is a Nexus being, a being of which there is supposed to be one per reality, with particular ties to the multiverse, who has enough power to influence probabilities and the future.
Okay.
That's exactly what this Marvel database thing says.
All right.
But they're including that they come from a specific place called the Queen of Nethers.
Okay. Is that from the show WandaVision?
This is from the Wanda comics.
Got it.
This is from the Wanda comics.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's hard because the MCU adapts and remixes things slightly differently to fit their narrative. So it can alter the terminology a little bit.
Right. There should just be a simple web page from a simple website that goes, this is what it is in the TV show and movies so far.
Yeah.
And then what Augustine just read should be part 2 to be like, okay, Marvel Comics has elaborated on this. This may or may not factor in. This is what the comics, like, that's it. Why isn't there a page?
Maybe we just need to make it a page on heroesreforged.com. I don't know.
Honestly, dude. Honestly.
From the Marvel database in the comics, the known Nexus beings are Scarlet Witch, Merlin, Kang, Leonard Tippett, Franklin Richards of Earth 772, Visions of Earth, Jean Grey of Earth 9250, Odin Borson, Queen Elizabeth I of Earth, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Abraham Lincoln.
What?
Great, so it means nothing. It means nothing. Cool. You know what's so fun? You know what's so fun?
At the end there. It lost
is that some of those
and John F. Kennedy of Earth 9007.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of those may have been a joke reference in like a Deadpool comic.
Yeah.
And then the Marvel Comics wiki has to write them down and go, and Abraham Lincoln and Queen Elizabeth I. Because so far we have to take it at face value. Santi Geo3 has a $5 super chat. You'd be surprised how much raza we have over here, LOL. Pero I'm really hoping to see my boy Nightcrawler in a live-action MCU movie soon. I'm sorry, Santi. You were wrong with the word soon. It ain't going to happen soon. Give it some years. Enjoy X-Men 97.
It's going to be a minute.
Enjoy X-Men 97. And we've got another super chat. Papa Bayou, $5 super chat. Makes me want to read it in a Bayou accent. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's offensive. Papa Bayou, don't make me do that. It's making me want to do my own version of Gambit here.
My own version of Gambit. You gotta drop the voice.
You gotta drop it a little bit, you know. Didn't Paradox mention that it takes thousands of years for the world to die? Yes. Also, do you think First Steps subtitle referred to Franklin Richards, the firstborn son of Reed and Susan Richards, as like
literal first
baby steps? First steps? Yeah, it could be.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think it could go either way, because at the end of the first Fantastic Four movie from 2005, Reed Richards proposed. And at the end of the second movie, I think they were like, we're going to try to have a baby. And then they never made a third. So I think this movie, in an effort to differentiate and accelerate, Franklin Richards, he appeared in comics as early as like 1966 or 68 or something. Like he's also been around forever. And then eventually they have a daughter too, Valeria. The best thing about Valeria is she's Dr. Doom's goddaughter, and he loves her and respects her. And she's a genius like her dad. But Franklin isn't.
Yeah.
He just has powers because he's a mutant.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel Studios want to get to those characters sooner? Maybe by the end of this, Susan will be pregnant / be giving birth, and then it'll be first steps, and then it'll cut, and then it'll be like, we'll see you next. Get you invested in the family, because I'm sure that with this they'll already have powers, and Reed and Sue will already be married. There's no, you don't have to date. You don't have to. They're just married. And let's go. So
yeah.
But that's just me, Papa Bayou. We don't know. Okay.
I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing.
Is there any other things about Deadpool and Wolverine that you guys want to touch on? Anything else that was in the movie that you're like, oh, maybe this will have some big implications for the future or not?
I kind of like that it didn't have huge implications. I do like that we were thrown the anchor beings, that a few things were added to the lore. But in every single time we've talked about this movie, I just wanted Deadpool and Wolverine to have a buddy movie, and that's what I got. Yeah. Like, regardless of it, if it had huge consequences, huge ramifications, did it move the MCU forward? Not necessarily, but bro, like, seeing Wolverine in his berserker rage, seeing Hugh Jackman back in the costume, just having it exist, I think, is special. And Disney actually embracing a rated R movie in such a child friendly, not even child friendly, but like PG-13 franchise. That's huge. I think that's really what's most important with what this movie's done, and for this movie to not only do well, to fucking break records is like, yeah, this is obviously a step in the right direction. So yes, the movie gave me everything I wanted in the buddy comedy state of things. I think all the references were beautiful. Specifically when Daphne King puts on the glasses, I almost cried. Because that was just like, oh my God, she remembers, and this is why she's here, and this is just so much behind just stuff like that.
Same.
And so yeah, there's so much that this movie did right that it's really easy to overlook all the things that could have been or maybe weren't as strong. Because it's definitely a movie that felt like it was done by a bunch of people that really wanted to do this movie. And, regardless of, whatever happened in the past, like, 10 years of teasing us with a gambit, it's fine. It's okay. We can still acknowledge it and not have to like treat it like it's, like the what's that that version of Bart that they kept in the closet or up in the attic or something.
Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo. Yeah, so those secrets are there and people know about it. It's just, I think it's a huge step in the right direction. I hope that they let Ryan Reynolds just cook in the future.
Yeah.
And I hope it sets good steps up and a good foundation for the X-Men in the future, because now there's a lot of weight with X-Men 97 and this movie coming out. There's a lot of mutant stuff that's just like, okay guys, this better be good. Like, as soon as Doom and the X-Men come out, it's just gotta be good. It's just gotta be good.
There's also so much
excuses.
There's also so much talk about the whole cameo thing, but in my opinion, I feel like the movie does a really good job setting up this essentially this 20th Century Fox purgatory that has all of these previously established characters, and they really do service the story to try to help Deadpool and Wolverine get back to their universe, to try to save his universe. So I don't totally agree with not everyone, but some of the comments that I saw, that it really felt like an unnecessary thing to tack on just to put cameos into the movie. Because in my opinion, they weren't necessarily cameos. They were these shortened, secret supporting roles that they did play into the story, and they gave those characters context as well. They didn't just show up with having no clue why they were there. So I wouldn't say that I would necessarily want to continue to revisit that purgatory, especially if it's an opportunity to tap into the 60s Spider-Man, the 90s Captain America movie. I don't want it to become that, but I think it's interesting that universe in and of itself does exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that whether or not it'll ever be tapped into again, I don't really care. But it's interesting to see that they created something that does have a justification for being in the movie. And I just couldn't understand why people were so kind of seemingly upset about the whole thing. But I thought it was enjoyable. I thought the movie did the legwork to really justify its existence.
It's fine if people don't like this movie. It's fine if people never liked a Deadpool movie or don't like the character, or they see a movie like this and they go, this is a huge cash grab, and it's very cynical for them to do all these cameos and try to tug at your heartstrings when these movies were badly received when they came out. It's fine if people see the movie and they think that, because if somebody watches this movie and it's not for them or they can't connect to it, there's nothing that you can tell that person and it's going to unlock something in their brain and go, oh my God, you're right. Yes, now I'm emotionally invested. It's never going to happen. But I do think that there's a difference between that and then being very dismissive and going, this movie is empty. It's a hollow shell. It's soulless. It's soul crushing. And some of the reviews and people talking on Twitter, especially all of the very snobby and very smart film bros, have taken that stance. And it's like what Augustine said, this movie, whether you like it or not, was obviously made by talented people who give a shit about these characters. And if you can't see that, then you're like willingly being a dick. You're willingly being obtuse, because it's clear that Hugh Jackman cares about Wolverine a lot. It's clear that Ryan Reynolds cares about Deadpool. And it's clear that Marvel cares about these characters and wanted to make an entertaining movie and a love letter to 20th Century Fox. And the fact that they have two of these characters at Disneyland right now in bright, colorful costumes, but still let this movie come out rated R, being silly, but still, and being a little crass, but like PG-13 crass. But in this movie, they let Hugh Jackman in that colorful yellow action figure suit constantly turn away and go, shut the fuck up. Like, that's awesome that they did that. It's great. It's great. We got a couple more super chats, guys.
Stick his claws straight through his head.
Over and over and over again. Incredible. Pirate Dad for $10 super chat says, I'll never get over the fact that Isaac Newton was the sorcerer supreme of his era. Also, on the MCU side of things, I guess that details from the comics, the realm that the Watcher inhabits is referred to as the Nexus of all realities. I'm sure that has something to do with something, but I can't figure it out right now. Mr. Jumex for a $2 super chat says, do you think Parallax, and I think they meant Paradox, do you think Paradox's motivation worked? I think so. I saw another comment here saying how, this is from Invader Perez, they said, I like how instead of ruining the TVA's development since the show Loki, this movie made Paradox's group extremists. They're extremists. They're not supposed to be doing that shit. Great. It's great. Yeah. It's great. And it all worked for me. And then Jason Bombach with the 5th ever super chat says, speaking of multiverses and people hating something for no good reason, have you seen the animated Crisis on Infinite Earths? Not yet, but it's on our burners. Jason, we'll get to
like 3 of those at this point?
There's
part
3.
3 hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Or it may have just come out.
It just came out, but we will watch them at some point, because it's maybe, I don't know, 10 movies or something in this animated movie universe, and I want to watch them. I saw the first couple and I didn't like them, and I want to give them another shot and watch them with the boys. So that will eventually happen. So look forward to that.
We got all
maybe
of them.
maybe next year.
Yeah,
exactly.
2025. There's a lot of potentiality in 2025. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe earlier, maybe
Hector
not.
really wants to watch Star Trek. Hector just really wants to watch Star Trek.
I do, but on the movie side, we have some idea of what movies we're watching. We're trying to do one a week for the rest of the year, mostly. But we might have some gaps, because so you know what I mean? So that might be on the movie side. It's cool. And should we do the movie announcement for what next week's going to be? For this next week's, let's do it.
Announce it, baby.
We're watching, and we'll be on your Patreon on Friday, a full uncut reaction to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. That's going to be on our Patreon on Friday, so you can fire it up on Paramount Plus or fire up your Blu-ray copy, watch along with us. Come back next week, because we will be talking about Mutant Mayhem in anticipation for the new animated series that's the sequel to it, that's coming out on Amazon or something. So that's incredibly exciting.
I think it's on Paramount Plus.
It is? Yeah. Oh, the new animated show?
Plus.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's all Paramount.
Yeah.
It is Invader Pez 12. It is peak. Go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, or watch it with us when we drop our uncut Patreon reaction commentary. It's going to be on there. And then come back next week. I think Tuesday next week is when we're actually doing the Mutant Mayhem episode, not Wednesday. Leave. So come back.
It's August 6th, not August 7th.
August 6th, 7 p.m. West Coast time. And watching you Batman Cape Crusader. Oh, we did, Stan.
We already did.
We seen the whole season, motherfucker. The whole thing.
That's it.
Like 3 weeks ago.
Get your ass ready, because as soon as you watch an episode, go to our Patreon and watch us watch it. Then go back.
It'll be there, baby.
you're gonna want to fire that up and watch it either with us for the first time or after you saw it on your own. Because let me tell you right now, y'all think you're ready for Lady Penguin Oswalda?
You're not ready. You're not ready.
You're not ready. That shit rules, dude.
Yeah,
that shit
was good.
Rules, dude.
And that was just episode 1, dude. You're not ready for the rest of the season. That was just episode 1.
Did you guys watch Hot D? Yeah, it's coming as well. You have too much good stuff, internet. Yeah, we watched Hot D, and that D was hot this week. All right, we had some fire breathing dragons up in this bitch.
That D was barbecuing this season. So yeah,
that D was thick with veins, you know what I'm saying? That D was hot. Yeah. Hot. It looked like red hot. That D was looking like a Snickers bar, you know what I mean? Thick.
Ropey even, some would say.
Ooh. Hot. Coming out warm. Hot D.
This is clearly the Deadpool Wolverine review when it gets real hot.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. What do you, of course,
what did you think it was? What did you think it was? I don't know.
Wait, Hector, show us your San Diego Comic-Con shopping spoils. Nope, I didn't get anything.
None.
I just,
no, you did. You got the OSHA.
Hung out with my bros.
Remember?
That wasn't at Comic-Con, bro. That was at a GameStop next to the movie theater.
Yeah.
That's true, but it's still during Comic-Con.
That's true.
So we were hunting around for like an hour trying to find that thing. So I would consider that. I would consider that a Comic-Con cop.
I was lucky enough. I picked up some Superman. I picked up some Superman merch, so that was really nice.
Nice.
Jonathan Sullivan.
DC picked it up for me.
Very nice. Jonathan Sullivan sneaking in with a $1,600 yen super chat. Third ever super chat says, "Hi guys, what do you think of Deadpool and Wolverine as a rom-com? I thought the car fight in Grease song was not just cool, but also a stealthy moment of Deadpool being truly understood by Wolvie."
They deeply understood themselves.
What Grease song? Which Grease song? I can't remember.
The car fight?
Yeah.
Was that the song that played when they beat the shit out of each other? I love it.
Really
good. Dude. I would have loved it if those two kissed at the end and they're like, "We love each other." It's like, it would have been fine. It's a very homoerotic movie, and that's part of the reason it's great. You know, it's lovely. Also, it's romance.
Deadpool is canonically queer, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. But of course, definitely check out all the stuff that Hector mentioned. We are watching a ton of things. And we posted a video about it. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming throughout the year. We finally today got the release date for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. That's coming out the first week of December, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm glad that they didn't push that till 2025 because it would have made my video kind of useless. But so that will be a lot of fun. There's a lot of things, and things might show up randomly depending on when things get slotted in. You know, like that whole schedule thing that I put out. It's very much just a blueprint, just of things that we know are definitively coming out this year, or definitively have a release date, or we know like what month they're coming out. But you never know; things might just pop up. But definitely check out our reactions for Batman Cape Crusader starting tomorrow. They'll be on Patreon, and you'll see some on YouTube as we roll them out as well. Hot D coming at you, real long and thick. It'll be great. Make sure you guys come back next week when we talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. We're going to be watching a lot of other stuff too.
One last super chat. Andrew Sanchez sneaking one in for $2. First ever super chat. Andrew says, Avengers versus X-Men being set up possibly? I will say no. Too early. I will say too early.
Too soon.
I will say the former X-Men do not have the capability, if you bring back Halle Berry, if you bring back Deadpool, to do any kind of Avenger. I think too soon, too early. And then last, Pirate Dad has a comment, which is a quote from Deadpool and Wolverine. I forgot about this line, and it's so funny. The Wizard of Oz did the multiverse first, and they did it best. The gays knew it, and we didn't listen. That was so funny.
Oh, man. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.